Welcome to the Mike Weatherford Show. I'm Mike Weatherford. Man, everybody noticed the prices of housing, what it costs to rent a house around here nowadays. It's just gotten outrageous for poor folks like me, so we're going to talk about that tonight, see if I can get the answers to what's causing it, why it's that way, and see if I can't find out if it's going to stay that way or if it's not. But before then, I want to introduce my co-host tonight. Man, he's a good one tonight. He's a good friend of mine, and he's also one of my sponsors of the show. I want to welcome Andy Clark to the show. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you, Mike. Good to be here.
Man, glad to have
Got
you.
big shoes to fill. I'm going to do my best.
Oh, man, you'll do a fine job.
Got to give a shout out to Billy.
Oh, yes, you can fill them. You can fill them. If they turn the music off in my ear, I might hear what you're saying, Andy. But how you been doing, man?
Everything's good. I'm like everybody else. Everybody's making it, trying to get by, trying to find out what's going on in the world.
What do you do for a living now? I hear you a so-called lawyer. Is that what you do, or what is that?
That's my current vocation. It's about my third.
Okay.
I've been a lawyer for 21 years, and right now I'm going to stick with it a little longer.
I don't blame you. You got a big office up here, man. Y'all, what is it?
We've got a good office. Myself and Chad Cox opened the office back in 2012 and been going full speed ever since.
Well, y'all do about any kind of law, don't you?
I don't want to say cradle to grave, but if you've got paternity issues, through divorce, through an estate,
okay.
Especially if you're in trouble, you need to call us.
Yeah. I understand. You know, I hope I never have to use you, but it's good to have a friend that's an attorney, you know. Kind of like, when you want a deer hunt, you want friends that's got farmland.
Exactly. 100%.
100%. Are you ready to go with these guests we got? They're chomping at the bit. You see them over a while ago when that music was blaring, break dancing.
A little dancing going on. And man, again, I'm going to try to keep up with Billy. I've got a few notes, a few questions.
Some notes. You gonna let everything go?
Looking for good answers.
That's what you want to do. Well, let's welcome my guest on tonight. I've got Mr. Randall Bowden, and I've got Mr. Chris Moody. Randall Bowden from real estate, and Chris Moody is an appraiser of property. He can tell you what your property's worth. How are y'all gentlemen doing?
Doing good, Mike.
No complaints
here. Be here.
Can I call you gentlemen, or what
call us anything you want?
That's better than I normally get called. So. Depends.
Yeah. I've got some notes here of what's the worst to use. But
You've been taking notes from the public.
I've been taking notes from the public. So, how y'all guys doing?
Doing good, Mike.
Do y'all know Andy?
Know Andy? Sure do. I've heard some things, rumors.
Okay. Hey, maybe it's going to be the Andy Clark show if you know rumors.
You never know.
Chris, how you doing?
Oh, we have no complaints. We're just you give me a little reprieve from work, so I left work, come here, and I get to go visit again till midnight. Take the night shift, I guess.
Randall, tell us what you do for a living, sir.
Okay. I'm into real estate. I own 2 real estate companies. I own Landmark Realty, one in Paris and one in Camden. And I've got about 25 agents that work for me. Plus, I buy and sell real estate, have been for 39 years.
So you know a little bit about the real estate business.
I've been in it a few times.
That's right. You married, got children?
Married, got 3 kids. Well, actually 4 kids. I got 3 daughters and 1 son.
Got any grand youngins?
Got 4.
Oh, well, you're all right. I figured if you didn't have any, I got 10. I'd let you borrow some.
I've got some.
It is Christmas, Mike needs a little help, with all these grandbabies.
I know it. The only difference is now they don't want prizes or presents. They want money.
Thank you.
They want money.
And what you used to get for $10, inflation's hit the grandkids.
$10? I thought it was $100.
That's what I'm saying. Look what inflation's did to the grandkids.
Oh, we think real estate's bad.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Mr. Mooney, tell me what you do for a living.
Well, I've been a real estate appraiser since 2000, or licensed at some capacity since 2003. So I've spent over half of my life now, if you can believe that, in the real estate industry. Started out at 16 working around the office, I'm better known as Mickey Mooney's son, in case y'all didn't know that. So I am carving a path for myself these days, but not without his help, no doubt. So bought my first house at 18, and I've probably owned I never sat down and counted between 50 and 60 houses, to date.
You don't own them now, do you?
Oh, Lord, no.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no. I wish I did. I wish I had 50 or 60 to sell right now.
Are you married?
I am married. I have 3 kids, ranging from newborn to 12 years old. I haven't figured that one out yet. So,
Andy, I forgot to ask you, are you married?
I am married, been married for 37 years.
You a blessed
I
man.
have 3 lovely daughters and 3 lovely grandchildren.
Man. Chris, you
No
got any
grandkids.
grandchildren?
No
All right. You the man.
I'm
Hang
good.
around when the show's over because it's Christmas.
12 years old, man.
I got 10 grandkids, and I need, I can pawn them out on somebody. These 2 have got plenty. You need to talk to me.
Oh, I've got a 12-year-old that thinks bows and guns are the best thing on earth. So Christmas is real cheap around
Oh,
our
yeah.
house these
I
days.
understand
That's a good
that.
kid.
I understand that. But I got, what in the hell is going on with real estate? Whichever y'all want to answer it, and rent around this area. What has happened, guys?
Well, it's gone up. I mean, but that's traditional. You do see inflation over time. We all expect appreciation in our properties. I mean, that's just what we expect. You don't buy real estate expecting to lose.
Well, no. I mean, I know you buy real estate. You don't wait to buy real estate. You buy real estate and wait. But what in the hell has happened overnight? It seemed like in a matter of months, it went from, $100,000 house is probably $175,000 now.
Well, the thing of it is, Mike, everybody wants to be here.
That's good, I guess.
Tennessee is one of the best states to live in. Taxes are cheap.
Now,
We're not burning down cities.
right?
Everybody wants to get out of that. They want to come to Henry County. We're one of the best retirement counties there is. We got the lake. We got a lot of good things going on here in Henry County.
So they're leaving problems.
They're leaving problems.
They're not bringing them damn problems. They're leaving with them, are they?
Well, from the ones that I've talked to, and I've talked to a lot of people moving here, a lot of people from California, a lot of people
Lord.
from Illinois, and they're just sick of what's going on in their states. They're sick of crime. They're sick of seeing homeless people. They're sick of the druggies. And it's no place to raise a family anymore.
It's not.
These people lived out there for 30, 40 years, and they got to go.
But I understand, but, this is kind of off the subject, but I hope what they're running from, they don't bring it with them.
There's a reason they're running from it, though.
Yeah,
I mean, they don't
yeah,
adopt,
but
they don't adapt to
they
it.
may have created a problem. They don't want to come to Tennessee and Paris and create that problem. Somebody created a problem.
Right.
Tennessee ain't there. If they keep influxing, that's a different story. We'll bring you back for that. What has happened to make a house go up this fast, this quick? At $100,000 house 5 years ago, just 4 years ago, is how much right now, Chris?
It'd be impossible to
it's
ascertain,
higher.
but it is higher, no doubt. I mean,
30%?
That would be probably in the neighborhood. So I did run a few numbers, and obviously we didn't individualize,
I understand.
the type of house, but the market as a whole up 2021 an average from last year was about 15.9% in Henry County alone. Now that was in totality of all the sales. Part of that's going to be driven by we have more multi-million-dollar houses that have sold because of what is lower. Interest rates are driving.
That's right.
Interest rates are driving the market.
But it's hard for and you have to agree, it's hard for a young and upcoming family, somebody just getting married and is trying to start them a family. It's just, and trying to live in Henry County, either try to rent a house or buy a house. They're struggling right now.
It has to be, and rental property, and I've bought a house from Randall before that is a rental, and then recently I have turned over some rental houses because of the market. But let me throw this question out, a little different path here. People are big into flipping these days. Somebody wants to flip a house. Can you find workers, or can somebody find a worker to do the work? Is there a labor shortage to flip that house?
I've pretty well stopped for that exact reason. One, the houses are hard to come by with enough profit left in them, and two, I mean, I have a couple guys that are great, but everybody wants them, and so the good guys are already working.
My daughter is looking to buy a house. True story. She's went to look at 2 houses, and 3 houses, and realtors on a couple of them have called her on the way and say, never mind, it's sold. Call today, get an appointment for 5 o'clock to look at a house, get a phone call, it's sold. I mean, that is unreal.
It's common, Mike. We're seeing more and more of that common. Being an owner of the real estate company, dealing with the agents and hearing the stories that they're telling, I mean, they're liable to list a house and already have 10 people on a list
Right.
waiting.
Yeah.
They make one phone call, that house could be sold in 30 minutes. And sometimes, they never even get on the market. This is the thing about the real estate business is the supply and demand is just shot out the roof. And if somebody's coming in here and say, look, I've got $300,000 I want to spend, there's not a house out there. So we have to send our agents out door knocking
Right.
to try to find a house. And I'll tell you, I have an agent that worked for me in Benton County. She sold 3 or 4 houses just by going door knocking because she had buyers.
My door's been knocked on.
Well, it could
It
be.
has been. But, where am I going to go?
Well, that's the problem in Henry County. That's what people don't realize. They think, oh, I can make a lot of money right now.
right.
But when you think about it, you got to think about 2 things: capital gains and where you're going to go.
Where are you going to go? That's the main thing. 'Cause I don't like, sleeping in my car.
Yeah.
Unless my house was going to bring me $5 million, Andy, I don't want to sleep in my car.
No, and nobody does. And I got a question for Randall. A lot of people recently have said, hey, I'm going to sell my house. Somebody knocks on their door, not a realtor. They sell it. How important is it to have a realtor or somebody that knows the pitfalls of what can come out of a sale from 2 people shaking hands?
I'm glad you asked that, Andy, because that is a very crucial problem that we're going to see, and you're probably will see some of it, in the future. People don't realize the liability when you go to sell a house, and there's a lot of for sale by owners that goes in here, but they don't get the contract wrote up right. And what happens is they get in there and they look at all the money. This is what we're going to do. We want to have, a home inspection, or they don't want to have a home inspection. And this is where a lot of them get in trouble. I've seen it many a time. They don't get a home inspection. Home inspections are one of the most crucial things you can do. So they decide, well, I'm going to save $600, not get one. I'm just going to buy it as is. They go out there, and the floors are rotted out.
Is that not same procedure when you buy a car, buy it as is, way it is, where it is?
Well, I guess it'd be the same thing, but you're talking a lot more money.
You are.
You're talking thousands of dollars. I've actually had a house.
That's what I was talking about.
People
My point.
bought.
Yeah.
Cost them $40,000 worth of work. So did they get a good buy in the house? No. And that's what we see. Not only that is you're going to see people get sued. Well, you didn't tell me it was like that, and that's where Andy's going to come in. He may already be doing some of it.
Well, the average person doesn't know about the lead paint disclosure. They don't know if they buy a house and maybe the 2 houses share a septic or a well. The problems down the road are astronomical to separate that or fix it, or a driveway. That's very common.
Well, and outside of the legal aspect, I see a lot of for sale by owners that leave money on the table.
Right.
A lot. I've done 2 in Benton County that come to mind in the last 2 weeks. Both of them left probably $25,000 to $30,000 on the table, and they're pricing it based on tax card because everybody has this
Lord.
magic number of tax card plus 20% is value. And that's the funniest thing around.
I'd buy about any house or farm in Henry County off the tax card.
I agree.
I'll buy about any of them. This goes to you, Chris. Are you having a hard time justifying the price people asking for homes? That knowing 3 or 4 years ago that house sold for 2 years ago, $200,000. Now they're asking $375,000. Because your job is to appraise the house, get a value for the bank and your lending and make sure the customer's getting them a price. Are you having trouble? Tell me what you're doing.
So that doesn't really impact me as far as my day to day because what we do is real time.
right.
You know, what happened 2 or 3 years ago is irrelevant to current market trends, and that's what we're associated
Yeah, what I'm
with.
saying, if that house is asking $375, and how do you know that house is worth that?
Well,
Are
of
you
course,
having trouble?
we do find comparable sales, and I will say most of our agents, listing agents in our market, are fairly knowledgeable. I mean, we don't have a large number of issues with
Overpriced
overpricing, and you'll know the house that's overpriced immediately. It's been on the market 120 days. It's had 3 price revisions, you know,
Right.
and that's a warning sign. Okay, everybody's telling you it's overpriced. Let's get it down, kind of deal. But
You're not having a problem. My question is, you're not
It's-
having a problem make the numbers work.
Well, I mean, we don't. It's the highest percentage of them are just fine. I mean, we don't have many appraisal issues. They happen from time to time. I've had one this last week, but it's not the commonplace.
So this high price housing that everybody's talking about and we're hearing about, it's all good. It's just the way it is. It ain't overpriced. That's what they're bringing. That's what they're worth.
Well, and the consumer's to blame. Honestly, consumer and interest rates. I actually did a little math on it, and so if you had looked at houses, the average house price in Henry County in 2018, 17, we've been around 150,000. This year to date, it's about 190,000. But you look at the interest rates in those 2 time periods. 4.5%. 4.5%. At 30-year mortgage, you're going to pay $273,000 for that $150,000 house. 2.65% 30-year mortgage on a $190,000 house. Guess what you're going to pay at the end of 30 years? $275,000. So the consumer's to blame for the inflation, because all the consumer's worried about, what's the monthly payment? That's all they worry about. How much is this going to be monthly? And if you can get to the range that they're happy with, they really don't care what happens outside of that. They don't care what the initial price is. They just care, I can live here. It's cheaper than rent. It's, they just mark it off. So
What I'm seeing, and Andy, you come in on this too. What I'm seeing is cash buyers. I've got a little hunting farm, and I'm adding to it, and I buy mine. I have the first 2 pieces I put together, real estate put them together. Third one I bought on my own, just went to the guy and bought it. But I've seen a lot of cash buyers.
Absolutely.
And I'm seeing deep pocket cash buyers.
Deep.
So they're selling their houses, let's say California, Illinois, for this big money. And they're making, I got a neighbor across me sold in Idaho, moved right across the street from me. Good, conservative people, real good people. I mean, I went over and met them. They're just common folk. They, like you said, they're running from all that problem, and they're not bringing that mess with them. They're
Right.
fighting to keep it away.
Right.
They're the good
Yeah.
people. But a lot of people's come out here with cash money.
That's right, Mike. What I'm seeing a lot of is these people that live in California and live in Illinois. They're selling houses that's worth 3 times of what they can buy a house here for. In fact, one guy that I dealt with was from California, and he paid probably $200,000 more for this piece of property that I looked at.
Right.
That I thought was worth maybe $400,000. He paid $600,000, but the words from him was, "Well, I sold mine in California for 3 times what it was worth." So, and they're paying cash. So that's where
That goes back to what I was talking about.
Yeah.
We got some artificial price increases in, because when you got a man leaving California with a pocket full of money, Andy, you got to agree or disagree, with a pocket full of money, he's going to come down here and he's going to push me, he's going to push Andy, an average person plumb out of the buying market, because he's got $1 million on his place in California. He comes down here, and Randall, you and I, and all of us agree that place is probably worth $250,000, and he wants it because he's got a pocket full of money. He pays $400,000. That's going to push us out.
Yeah. The local people can't compete with what's coming out of town.
That's right.
To buy these houses. And another thing is there's a lot, Mike. These people, the COVID, believe it or not, has changed the way people are doing business. So they can live anywhere in the United States and work out of their house now.
Yeah.
So they can come from, whether it's Illinois, Michigan, or anywhere, they're working from home. So, why not come here?
What I'm wondering is, who in the hell's buying them overpriced houses they're selling? I need to go out there and do a talk show. if that guy just told you he sold it for what, 6 times?
3 times as much as it was worth.
Well,
So 1.8.
who in the hell's the idiots out there buying that?
Well, mostly what he's telling me is foreigners. Foreigners are moving in here.
So we're selling our country to China.
That's right. But listen,
Well, I mean, that's basically who's buying it. I mean, that's who's got all the money in the world, right?
it can be China, India,
Britain.
Yeah.
Britain just bought Terminex for $6.7 billion.
And we all pull up to BP regularly.
Yeah.
That's not American petroleum.
No, that's British Petroleum. But you know what? Sell them all the land in America. Sell every bit of it to them. You know what? They can't pick it up and carry it with them. We just say, that was just a joke. Run them back. We're still here. You can't take it with them, can you? You can buy all of our cows. They can ship them over there, but you can't take the land with you.
But there's a lot of things changing. A lot of things changing in this world that we've never seen before. And it's going to keep changing.
You don't think, me and Andy was talking about this earlier. Chris, do you think we're in another bubble that will pop one day? Or let's put it in politically correct terms. Are we going to have an adjustment?
Well, I think everybody really believes that that's inevitable, but I think it'll look a lot more like used cars this time around. Everybody will owe so much that will dictate pricing is what's left, and rather than banks being willing to take the ride and take the loss. I think in 2008 you'll see that was more of an isolated crash. I mean, it was an isolated bubble. This time it's nationwide. I can't think of a single place that's not impacted by the interest rates.
This is 2008 on steroids.
Because it's nationwide, and I think because it's congealed across the entire nation that we're probably, we're all in this together, so I don't think you'll see the kind of bust that you saw in Vegas and in other areas.
I'm not from California selling my land for 6 times what it was, so we're not in this together.
Well, let me lead in with this. Back in October, Zillow said, and everybody knows, I think, who Zillow is. They said, we're not buying houses anymore.
Right.
Second quarter of this year, they bought 3,800 homes. Then they said, we're done. We're not buying any more houses to the end of the year. What does that do? Because everybody looks at Zillow, see what their house is worth. And again, it's kind of like looking at the tax card, but different. But you've got this major buyer that said, we're not buying anymore. We're only selling.
Yeah, part of Zillow, they use their own algorithms and they prove themselves wrong. They ended up losing a lot of money, and that's like going to WebMD, and looking yourself up and you're dead before the end of the day.
And it was reported on them where they would buy X amount of houses on a block, for example. That's just what I read.
Right.
They buy 30 of them for market price. They buy the 31st house at an inflated price, and then that raises the average of all those houses. Do those things happen? I know it doesn't. I don't think it happens here.
It's possible.
It happens here.
You could price fix. I suppose. Subdivisions would be an ideal place to do that. If you're building a house, you can see kind of natural progression over time if all the houses are the same and the price keeps increasing.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're describing, probably on a much smaller scale. But
I want to ask you a rumor here.
Okay.
He said okay awful
He did.
fast.
Yeah.
Boy, you're setting
Hey,
yourself.
what the heck?
No, I understand. I hear rumors in the world out there that there'd be a house on the market for $125,000, and let's say that Andy puts an offer in $125,000 or $115,000. Well, I call and I say I want that. Well, we got an offer on it. We got a $115,000 offer. Well, I'll give them their $125,000. And then Andy says, well, hold on. Well, I'll give them $135,000. And I say, well, I'll give you $145,000. Is that really true? Is that happening?
It's happening. Absolutely.
So it's turned into an auction.
It's really unfair for
It
some
is.
people, but the advantage of it is for the homeowner that's selling. Because what a good realtor will do when they have multiple offers, they're going to say, give me your best offer. And they will work, a good realtor will work these people that's trying to buy, the potential buyers, they're working it. If a realtor's not working these people, they're not doing a good job for the people
That's
selling.
right. Realtor, I guess, this has always been a question to me, and I'm going to ask you, if I got a house for sale and I list it with you, you're working for me.
That's right.
And if I come to buy a house from you, are you working for me that way too?
It'd still be working for you.
Okay, so you working for both ends?
Well, you're saying if you were trying to sell a house,
I'll say when I'm selling a house, you're working for me. Forget that scenario. But when I'm buying a house, are you working for me?
you have to meet in the middle.
There you go.
Meet in the middle. That's
There
the safest thing.
Yeah.
But you know, the thing, Mike, that we see is that you get these conflicts between buyer and seller sometimes, and I've seen people get mad. Well, you're working more for the buyer than you are for me, and I listed with you.
That's my question.
Which an agent, a good agent, works that out.
That's right.
Between the two of them. You know, it's just
That's gotta
one of
be
those
hard.
things. It's hard because you want to do the right thing for the seller, but then you got this buyer that wants to Jew the seller.
Yeah.
So you get caught in the middle. The perfect scenario sometimes is let somebody else sell the house.
Yeah.
And if you ask one of my agents, they would say, I'd rather list.
Mm-hmm.
They'd rather list a house than to sell the house.
Got you.
Because
You
that
know,
dual agency is hard to manage.
it is hard to manage, and very few agents can do it without causing a conflict.
I don't know how it'd be tough. I have to agree.
It
That
is.
would be very hard
There's
to do.
been feelings hurt, you know, over it, you know, that
Sure
kind
it
of
has,
stuff.
man.
But
But the days of flipping houses, have you noticed how every old house is worth a darn is being fixed up? Even the old buildings downtown Paris are being bought and fixed up. I mean, it's. I'm glad to see that. I'm all for that. You know, I like to see, and I think Chris, y'all's building, y'all are a good example of it. And your next door neighbor, y'all are, and that's good. I mean, I like to see a thriving downtown Paris. I'm an old school guy. I like to see all that thriving. You know, and there's a lot, but you don't see anybody like you were speaking of earlier about finding an old house and flipping it. Where the hell they at?
Well, that's the good thing about inflation is it does rehab older neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I mean, you get people that are buying $10,000 houses that most of us would have kicked to the curb. I mean, we wouldn't walk on
Yeah.
the property because it's profitable for once.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I think those are the first houses you'll get stung on when things start sitting. Is that those are going to be the ones that people hold, you know, in the marginal neighborhoods, and they're really the nicest house there. So
How long are we going to be in this good market?
I would have called it off 3 years ago. So
How long are we going to be in this good market?
I think we still got at least a year, maybe two, before we see a break.
So I did see the feds are announcing we're going to have
increase.
3 increases next
Yeah.
year. Really, it's still not supposed to impact mortgage rates greatly. I mean, maybe up to 3.74% at the most. But
What's going to happen, in y'all's opinion? Y'all both answer it. I'll start with you, Chris. When a man buys a house for $300,000, and in my words, it's inflated too high. It's a $225,000 house, and he's got a loan on it, and he gets ready to get his equity in a few years, and the market's worked its way out, and that house is back down to where it ought to be, about $225,000. He owes $275,000. What's that going to do to the market?
well, that's happened before, just not locally. Like I say, they
It's not going to crash the market, but it's just going to have
No,
no equity. You won't
well-
be buying campers and motorhomes and.
Right, and the federal government recognized that, and they actually came out 08 through about 14, 15 called a HARP loan, and they were refinancing the balance of loans without appraisals, without, you know, it was very, very minimal qualifications to keep them in the house because they didn't want, you know, they didn't want the market to crash in entirety. And so, you know, that's happened, not locally, but so much, but we've seen
What's your
it.
opinion?
Well, I think what we saw, Mike, is, you know, back in 08 when everything crashed, we're talking about a lot of loan companies that loaned 125% of the value
you're
of
right.
these houses.
I seen them. You had them all
So-
over. The banks wouldn't loan them money, but they sent it to the secondary market.
These secondary markets
Yeah.
were loaning 125%, and they were pushing these people that could just barely get by to start with. So when the market crashed and things went bad, there was no recovery.
Right.
Now, I do like the way the banks have come back they've made those adjustments. You don't see a bank loaning much more than 85% on the value of on a house now.
Well, other than your FHA,
Well,
VA,
FHA,
USDA, and that's a measurable percentage of the
But
notes
they're,
out
are they still 95 or something like that, Chris, or something?
3.5% down on FHA. VA is 103%. I think you can borrow closing
how-
costs.
but
I
don't
think
they-
USDA is
100%.
100.
Yeah.
So, but I hear, excuse me, to get one of those FHA loans, you got to work on it for 6 months to get pre-approved. Then you go out and look for a house. And by then, the damn price is going up again.
There are a lot of misconceptions about government loans, and don't get me wrong, there are some houses that just don't belong. I mean, they just
Yeah.
don't belong, and I run across those. But 95% of houses I go look at under those terms, it's minor corrections, usually less than $1,000. It's just everybody's aggravated because they're already counting the money when they got the contract.
Yeah.
And no one wants to do anything else beyond that. So.
When they called the bubble in 2008, it was the greatest crisis since the Great Depression. If this does happen again in 2 years or however long it lasts, what are we going to call the next one if it crashes?
Well,
And if it's that bad, can we recover again? Can we live through another third great? Bursting bubble.
Andy, the thing of it is, back in '08, we had foreclosures just filled the market. I mean, my agents, I had 2 or 3 agents that were getting foreclosures every day. They got to wait so long, and then they get all these foreclosures. But in this world today, there's always that investor, okay? No matter how bad this market gets, somebody's got the money to buy it. And back in '08, I know a lot of people that got really wealthy taking advantage of that situation now. And they went out here and they bought all these houses, and they were getting them at half price. I mean, half the value. They could turn around then when things got good. They'd rent them out for so long, and then they could borrow money up to 85% of the value of that, stick it in their pocket, or go buy another house.
that's right.
And even if this bubble busts again, and it's going to, we don't know when or how bad it's going to be. I think people need to be smart about what they're doing. There's going to be people that's going to do the same thing. They're sitting there. There's cash. People have made money in this world, but it's going to be a lot of out-of-town investors this go around.
Yeah.
You're looking at China, India, or any of those foreign countries. They're ready to pounce, man. Anything comes up for sale in this country, somebody's ready to buy it.
I don't think the '08 crash and the crash we got coming's all in the same family. Them secondary markets was loaning all this money, putting rubber bands around it, putting them on the market and selling them. And we got $10 million worth of loans that's going to pay out in 30 years, take $8 million, and they was hedged and scotched with bad loans to start with. Then everybody bought them. This is not going to be the same way. This is going to be an adjustment where you paid $300,000 for a house. In my opinion, that's what y'all are here for. Y'all are experts. My opinion, what I see coming, you're going to have a $300,000 house that you just bought that when the market corrects itself, it's going to be worth $220,000, and your equity is going to be gone. Do you know how many people use equity in their houses for lots of things nowadays? A lot of motor homes are equity bought. Motorcycles, they use that equity for cash, credit card. That's where I think that's going to lead us to. It's going to be us to where the bank going to say, well, they're not going to call you loan in. They're going to ride it out as long as you make any payments there. They're going to let it slide. Maybe you catch up. But I think, in my opinion, that's what I see happening, is the home equity will be gone.
Well,
equity is a big part of home ownership,
Oh, yeah.
In my case, and probably most of us here, we're older people, our houses are paid for, and that's just all equity. That's what I project to see. But, hell, if I was real smart, I'd be a millionaire. I wouldn't be up here with this camera surrounded by lawyers and real estates and all that,
Well, and I think those are the real losers in this market are your first-time home buyers. They're putting down less than 5% because they don't have a chance to get ahead. And the first thing that, people go to when they need a roof.
That's right, home
is their
equity. That's right.
It's the very first thing. And the other part of that is even if the market were to continue in the current direction and rates go from 265, 275 up to 4.5, you've got a lot of homeowners that could not afford that rate increase just to refinance and get some of the equity out. So I think that's the real tragedy is going to be in your young first-time buyers that are excited, and they're probably going to get hurt more than anything.
They're screaming in my ear that I got to go to break. I said my sponsors, and I got one or two of them sitting in here right now. They're hollering. They want to do it. What do you project going to happen? What do you think's going to happen? Just according to Chris,
there is no
got a crystal ball.
I'm telling you, I've already been wrong for 2 or 3 years. So I never thought it'd make it this far.
What do you think?
I think we're going to see a couple more good years. There's some things that we could still talk about, as far as first-time buyers. I don't think we're seeing as many first-time buyers now than we did because it's harder to get it.
It is.
This new generation, they're not worried about buying a house. New generations today do not care about having debt.
No.
They're living for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
They'd rather have a good car, food to eat, games to play,
And a party to go to.
and a party to go to.
You know what we're going to talk about when we come back from this break? We're going to talk about the rent. What do you think, Andy? You think have they learned you anything?
Absolutely.
You have learned something?
Absolutely.
Well, I always learn something. See, I'm not very intelligent, so it don't take much.
That's two of us.
It don't take much to entertain me and get me going. All right, folks, we got to go pay the bills, and we come back. We're going to finish up our conversation with these guys, and we're going to talk about rent in Henry County. And I'm sure I'm going to make some of my people friends mad at me, but what the hell's going on with rent? So don't go nowhere. We'll be right back in about 3 minutes.
This presentation of the Mike Weatherford Show is being brought to you by
Paris Power Sports, a bad boy and skag mower dealer and service center that is the area's leading power sports company since 2016. Mow with an attitude and power on.
Napa Auto and Truck Parts. With over 95 years of experience, you can trust the Napa know-how.
Take Me Back Cafe, delicious home-cooked family-style meals in a nostalgic, warm, and inviting atmosphere. Take Me Back Cafe, great for the entire family.
And the attorneys at Hawley & McAdams, who with over 90 years of combined experience pride themselves in competent, thorough representation, utilizing their vast experience in a broad array of practice areas. Voted favorite law firm in the 14th Annual Reader's Choice Award, Hawley & McAdams are proud and honored to serve you.
From all of us at the Mike Weatherford Show,
Keel Media,
Health Matters.
and from Studio B.
I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. Merry Christmas!
Don't let pain become a way of life. Voted 6 years in a row as the winner of Favorite Chiropractor in the PI Reader's Choice Award. Dr. Dustin Forrester can help restore your sense of normalcy and help put some spring back in your step. We are proud to announce the addition of Dr. Grace Burden to our staff, providing the service of dry needling for all our patients. Call our office at 731-644-9000 to schedule your appointment today, and you could be another one of our many happy and satisfied customers.
The decision to buy or sell a home can be a difficult one, and it's important to have someone you can trust during that process. Landmark Realty is that someone, committed to serving you and to building solid, long-lasting relationships. Our experienced real estate agents with established professional networks work hard to help you find your perfect dream home. Browse our wide variety of homes at landmarkrealtytm.com or stop in at either of our 2 locations in Camden or Paris. Don't live in the past. Let Landmark move you into your future.
Whether it's real estate, business, criminal, or family law, civil litigation, estate planning, or even personal injury, attorneys Anthony Andy Clark and Chad Cox of Clark & Cox PLLC provide the experience and trusted representation that you're looking for. A long-standing Paris PI Reader's Choice favorite. Clark & Cox address your legal issues using a team approach, setting into motion a strong and highly competent and capable staff to assist you with all your legal needs. To find out more about how we can help you, visit clarkandcoxlaw.com or call us at 731-642-4446.
L.I. Smith & Associates, a full-service engineering and surveying company that combines 40 years of industry expertise with new cutting-edge technology to provide innovative solutions to real-world problems. Headquartered in Paris, The professionals at L.I. Smith are dedicated to providing high-quality surveying and civil engineering services throughout Henry County and the surrounding region. L.I. Smith & Associates, industry expertise, innovative solutions, and community-focused. 54 Fuel Mart, a great place to eat with friendly staff and some of the best gas prices in town. Stop in for a bite to eat and get treated like family. That's 54 Fuel Mart, 1213A West Wood Street in Paris.
Welcome back to the Mike Weatherford Show. We've had a pretty good little show about real estate. Had Randall Bowden, Landmark Realty, and Chris Mooney from Mooney Appraisals. And we've had a pretty good conversation here. Andy, what do you think, man?
I think absolutely. I think these are topics that touch a lot of people, from the first-time home buyer to somebody to an
Turn
investor.
your microphone off, control room. Go ahead, Andy. I'm sorry.
Touches everybody, from the first-time home buyer all the way to an investor. And I think that leads us into our next topic. We're going to talk about rent and investing and moratoriums and all that good stuff.
I will go back to my guest, Chris Randall. You know, this is kind of my byword tonight, but what the hell's happened to rent?
Well, I'd say if houses go up, so does rent. I mean,
Yeah, but Jesus Christ.
If the cost of of startup is high, then the rent's going to ensue. You know, it just follows right behind
Yeah,
it.
but we're getting rent. Nashville's getting.
I have seen some pretty wild ads out
it's
there,
crazy.
and the ads disappear. So there are people getting them. I mean,
Absolutely.
You put yourself, and I'm not knocking rental people. I mean, I got friends of mine in the rental business, and I know it's not their fault. I know there's a reason behind it, because everybody that owns rental houses has not had a big meeting, and they all decided to jack the price up. We know that didn't happen.
Right.
I'm not saying it is, and I know there's cost in rent and building. I know there's a cost, people tearing up houses. I know all of that. But how does a young couple, either one of y'all, starting out in life, like you said, they don't want to buy a house, but they can't live in their car. They want to go out and rent them a house. They're working at maybe one of the factories around here, bringing $30,000, $40,000 a year in, and they got to live. They got to have a couple of cars. They want to have a family. How are they going to pay these $800,000-$900,000 a month rent? Either one of y'all ain't scared to take a bite of that.
Well, I think, Mike, what we're seeing right here at this time is a lot of young people starting out are the ones that's really doing the renting. It's like I said before, it's this new generation, they think different than us older ones did. They're not sure where they want to be, what they want to do.
But $1,000 a month's a lot of money, no matter if you think it or not.
Well, it is a lot of money.
Per month.
It is a lot of money, but remember this: we're in a time now to where, people making more money. These jobs, I've been going through it, trying to hire people.
Yeah.
People are getting paid where they were getting paid $10 an hour. They're getting paid $15 an hour,
Right.
and they can afford to pay more rent. And then you've got the people that own the rental stuff. They're going to get every penny they can get.
Well, that's just.
Well, let me throw this hot topic in there then. Let's
Okay.
say you get one of those young people, got a good job, and they're paying you $1,000 a month rent. Then somebody, who'll go nameless, says, wait, they don't have to pay you anymore. We're in a crisis. They don't owe you rent. You can't kick them out. What does that do to you as an investor?
You sell out.
Okay, good answer.
Get rid of them. That's what I did many years ago. I've had duplexes and fourplexes and stuff back early, and when I was a young investor at the time, I thought, man, I'm going to be rich. 20 years from now.
Broke you from sucking eggs.
Boy, I'm tell you what. Now, I tell you, I've looked at things a whole lot different. Now, there's a different kind of investor out there today from what we used to have. Okay, we've got a lot of people that's made a lot of money, and they're looking for something to put their money in. The banks are not paying interest. Okay, they're not paying you any interest. If you've got $200,000 or $300,000 in the bank, you get 0.5% or 1%. That you can't live off of it, but they can take that $200,000 or $300,000, invest in 3 rental properties, and they're all of a sudden they're making $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, depending on what kind of rental property you got. Right now, $100,000 house could bring in $1,000 a month. You know, it's unreal.
Yeah, but Andy, I don't know how these people's affording that. I mean,
Oh, I don't either. And I, there's some of us here, and not excluding Chris, except for age-wise, but, you're right. The days of 17, 18% from the 70s are gone.
Yeah.
And I don't know how people are making it.
I don't know.
And then
how.
if I were an investor and the government says, you can't collect rent, you can't kick them out, what's an investor to do? Maybe some people can sustain that lick.
Well, you vote different in election.
Well,
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what's going to happen. I mean, Andy, I understand where you're coming from. That's horrible when you tell a man but it's a double-edged sword. Some people, they shut the country down because of COVID. They couldn't work. They didn't have money coming in. But they give them unemployment, and they give them bonuses on top of unemployment, and then they told them they didn't have to pay rent. I mean, that's some craziest crap I ever seen in my life, how that worked. And do you blame the people for taking it? No, if it's given to you, you take it.
No, you really can't.
No, you can't blame nobody. You and I'm a business owner, you're a business owner. We take every break we can get. We don't get the ones, big corporation breaks, but we take a little bit break. We're all business owners here. We all take what kind of break we can. But I feel sorry for the young children. Like I said, I got 10 grandchildren, and I hope they stay in Paris. I don't want them leaving Paris. I mean, who knows? But it's scary to think that just a few years ago, $500 a month, which I thought, when I first got married, $120 a month, and I thought they was ripping me off for rent. I can only imagine a couple that's living here locally, trying to raise a family, and having to pay $250 a week for a house rent, then they're having to pay probably that much, half that much for child care. And I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying it's a tough situation that these younger people are in. And I don't see that. I don't know the answer. Don't claim to know the answer, but I feel for people.
I agree. I do feel like, though, they are in a better situation here in Paris and Henry County than they would be if they tried to find Nashville, your bigger municipalities, because you can just about double what we have here. You move to a metropolitan area.
Probably, but maybe I just, I had some rental houses like Randy. I broke me from sucking egg years ago. I sold them to a friend of ours. I got out of. I've got commercial property that I rent out, and hell, housing is bringing more than some of the commercial.
It is, but
Office buildings are not bringing what rentals are bringing. What houses bring.
What we're having, though, is supply and demand, okay? It's like you said, people bought all this old stuff and they fixed it up, and all this stuff's going on, which in the city of Paris, I think we have some good officials that's doing a good job at helping redo Paris. We've got a lot of good investors in Henry County that are fixing up a lot of these houses. I know Chris and them's remodeled and flipped a lot of houses. I've flipped a lot of houses over the years. I've gotten out of it because there's so many people doing it. You can't get a bargain anymore. I don't want to be in the rental business. And so, I buy and flip houses, but usually it's one of those, somebody calls me, I'm moving back up north, I want to sell my house, what will you give? Kind of thing. But the young people here have become very dependent on our government, okay? If I had to tell the young people of Henry County something good, don't put yourself in the shape of depending on our government, because
That's right.
they will control you. You're drawing these checks. If that's what you're doing, you're never going to do better. I grew up a poor kid. You know how I grew up, Mike.
We all grew up together.
Started buying and selling real estate at 18 years old. I've bought and sold probably over 150 pieces of property, farms and houses. But what I did is I had a dream. I had goals in my life, and I didn't let anybody set me back.
That's right.
If I had to work 2 or 3 jobs, that's what it took, and I still do today. The young people in Henry County need to get into the notion you want to do something. You want to have dreams. You want to do better. And that's the way it was for me. I wanted to do better. And
right.
and I have to tell these young people, I have all young people who work for me. You know, they live day to day. You know, they're borrowing money before the week's up. You know, they are paying these high rents.
Right.
But at the end of the month, when they pay the rent, the electric bill, the water bill, there's no money for these people.
Those cash advance places are the real crooks, though.
Do what?
The cash advance places are the real winners.
Stay away from the
No
cash
doubt. They're the
advance.
real winners.
Stay away from those. But people today have to make changes. And it's going to take me, Mike, Andy, Chris. Somebody's got to teach these young people how to be investors.
Right.
You know, invest in real estate. I mean, real estate's the best thing you can invest in. I don't put any money in the stock market. I'm not a stock market guy. I'm not saying that's the way you shouldn't do or should do. But for me, real estate has put me where I'm at.
That's right.
And I think anybody, if you're young, you're 18 years old, and you come to me and you ask me, what should I do? I'm going to say, let's buy some real estate.
There you go.
You know,
Randall,
that's what you need to
answered
do.
my question without asking. I was going to ask, what's a young person to do that wants to get into it? And you just laid it out.
Yeah.
Well, and I bought my first house at 18, and now, granted, Brenda Wynn was an absolute jewel. I mean, there's probably not too many people on the planet who give an 18-year-old a loan with a '66 Mustang as collateral. But
Brenda Wynn.
Brenda Wynn,
She
that's
got
right.
me started too.
Yep.
She was an angel to a lot of us over
Oh
there.
man, she's great. I really think the world
I
of
still
her.
hug her when I see her.
Every time, every time. But yeah, I think those days are gone for sure. But to take up the slack, I mean, you do have a lot of great programs to get people started. You know, the rural development, not necessarily through the bank, they have them as well, but rural development office there on North Market Street, they have programs to, you know, sell you a house. 33-year note, they actually subsidize the interest to get you started. So there are a lot of ways to get started.
Yeah, there is a lot of ways. Randall, you touched on something. You do a lot for people. You know, I don't know. You don't know. I know all that. You tough on people, but you do a lot for people too, brother.
Well, I appreciate it.
I know. You know, I'm not going to toot horns, but you know, I've seen you in action with your family. You take care of your family. That's what a good person does.
I think we have to take care of our families.
We do,
And
yeah,
we're
yeah.
in a world today that you take care of each other. Not
Exactly.
only family, your
right.
friends, your neighbors.
That's right.
We've gotten away from that.
That's right. We used to know. See, he grew up in Cottage Grove, Hyco area out there. And that was back in the day. Randall and I we used to run around a little bit together, ride on them old gravel roads, and we knew every house. Everybody lived there, right or wrong.
Right.
We knew who that house was so-and-so, that house was so-and-so, that house belonged to so-and-so. We're going over on the Hempfield farm or this farm, we're going to hunt. You know how it was. It ain't like that no more.
You don't know anybody
You don't even know your neighbors. Do you know who your neighbor is?
I do, but you know, we have kids that greet everybody,
Yeah.
kids and dogs. So we
You
have
know
to
your
our
neighbors?
I do most of them, not
Most
on
of
a
them.
first name basis, but I know who they are. I hope they know me, and that's not like it used to be.
No, you know, I grew up, you know, in basically West Paris. I knew everybody. Everybody knew my father, they knew me. And around my house now, I know my neighbors. I know everybody by first name. You wave. You know, that's what I get a lot of. And these people come here from, because in my muffler shop up there, I get people all over the country. They move here and they come to the shop, and I get to know them. I'm a big talker. They tell me what they like about Paris. That's what my show's about. I get all these questions to y'all guys from my customers. I hear what the heartbeat is of going on, what people wants to know. That's what I ask y'all questions. That's basically what people ask me. But they say, man, you might as well just tape your hand up when you're driving down the road around here. I said, why? I said, everybody waving. I don't know who the hell they are. I said, that's just how we do it.
Right.
And I said, and talking with Randall, we used to know everybody.
Right.
Right around out there in the Cottage Grove area where he grew up at. You know, you just knew everybody's house. You knew the name. They knew you. And you could do something before you got home your daddy knew it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. He'd know it.
Yeah, you know.
You know it when he got through with you.
That's right. But, you know, we got to get back to that, you know, and we got to help each other. And we do that. But I still, even though y'all tried to explain it, I still have a hard time wondering how somebody working in Henry County, and it's supposed to be the less expensive place to live. What you're saying, it's going to get worse. How you go, how the hell are they making it?
I agree. I mean, I don't envy the situations at all. I mean, and you do see, but to Randall's point, I mean, I worked 2 jobs for 12 years. You know, when starting out, I mean, starting my business, you know, I was a supervisor at UPS for 12 years, and I got up at 3 in the morning, I cut, and I went to grind. I sold real estate, you know, I flip houses. I mean, I've done it all in the same year, and you have to have motivation to get out from the bottom.
I was so busy.
You just have to have motivation.
I've been in business 35 years. I've been in this industry 40-something years. I've been so busy working, I ain't had time to make no damn money.
Oh, I don't believe that for a second.
But you know, it's just it's tough, you know, and all of us sitting up here, you know, we turned into telling everybody what it takes to make it, and it does. Andy, you had a hard life getting to be be an attorney. It wasn't just woke up one day. You know, we're the first ones at our business and last to leave.
No, and when I retired from another job in 2018, I was very glad to only have 2 now.
That's right.
And I still have 2 today.
That's right.
And I try to instill that as much as I can to my
Let
children.
me see how many jobs I do have. Let me say, I'm the banker. I'm a legal advisor. I'm a marriage counselor. I've got about 10 jobs at my shop, and I work on cars. And I got all them employees. Y'all can you can feel me.
And you got some rental business.
Yeah, I got
you got some rental stuff.
And you feel my pain about
I feel it.
employees.
I
You know,
feel
you're a
it.
marriage. You got employees. You're a marriage counselor. You're a banker. You got it. We all got it. You know, you're all of that.
The only thing different for me today is I have to do that for the guys that work for me also.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm the marriage counselor. I'm the banker.
That's what I'm talking about. My employee. That's what I have to do. I'm a mechanic, and I'm also, you know, I help them when they got marriage problem. I help them when they need a little money. You know, I do all that. So my job, I probably got 7 or 8 jobs.
But you know, Mike,
And it
what
takes
would they
that.
do if they didn't have us? That's the way I look at it. You know, being the way we grew up and
Right.
stuff, you know, we learn how to respect
That's
each
right.
other.
That's right.
We respect the law. We respect our teachers. We respect everybody that's
Right.
in our life.
Yeah.
We lost all that, this new generation.
I
They've
believe that.
lost it. And it's hard to help some of them when they don't respect what they're doing. They don't respect their bosses, you know, or supervisors. And, you know, we're going into a new generation that we got to make adjustments.
That's right.
You know, me and you might be working a bunch more jobs before it's over with.
That's right. I just tell them, I give advice to kids, children, my own children. I got 3 of them. I tell them, I say, you don't need to expect as much as you need to respect. And they look at me. I said, well, you can't expect a lot in life. You gotta make your own life, and you need to reduce more respect to the people. You know, you can't take customers for granted. You can't take anything for granted, and try to be nice to people. You know, what does it hurt to hold a door open? What does it hurt to pitch a quarter in a charity bowl? What's it hurt to tell somebody good morning? You know, we still are, as a whole, America's full of good people, but we just going through trying times.
Yeah. I just want to make one note about that. You know, last week, you know, the tornado hit out Cottage Grove.
That's right.
And I had the opportunity to go out there, and I actually got hit. One of my farms got hit out there. I had a lot of damage. But I went out there. There was a Mennonite kid that's house got totally destroyed.
Marvin
Wagler.
That's right.
And for people to want to see what real respect and real love and real brotherhood is,
Monday
they
morning.
should have been out there, because his house was totally destroyed, 2 stories down to the basement, and in 4 days they put that thing back together.
That's right. Built a new house.
And it was just like, I went out there, I saw the line. I mean, they had a food line. They were everywhere. I bet there was 200 people out there.
Wow. You know, Henry County as a whole, we do a lot of volunteering around here. We take care of each other. Yeah, we've got some issues, but we've always had issues. We America got founded with issues.
Right.
You know, we did. We got founded by issues. They started some crap, and we shot them. So, you know, and we're always going to be that way. We're going to evolve. I don't want to say the word progress. We're going to evolve, you know, and change it. But
Henry County and Paris is always special when it comes helping hands. You name it, they're always there.
Is there a shortage of rental housing?
It appears. I mean, I'm not real vested in the rental house market. I do storage units. So.
There is.
And there's a shortage of those too. 'Cause I get phone calls every day.
How can it go? That's another show. How in the hell can it be? There's a separate show.
How can you have so many of them?
I don't get it. That's because they never abandon them. They just keep paying.
But you know,
Randall, you missed the call it on that.
I didn't want it.
Okay.
I look at it and I think, gosh, how many can you build in Henry County?
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere, and they just keep building them, but they keep renting them.
Like dollar stores everywhere.
It's just like the more people move here, the more storage buildings you're going to have.
It's the world. But go ahead. What about? Is there a shortage of rental property?
There is a shortage of rental property. Now, we do have some people that's moved in here from out of town that's actually building some apartments on India Road. I guess, Chris, you've seen those.
Bly Street. On the end of Bly Street,
really nice.
Duplexes.
A couple guys I know building some on duplexes on Blythe. And we've got some people that are investing. These are the same investors that's made money over the last few years, and they can't make it at the bank, so they're doing rentals. But they're higher end rentals, which keeps you actually a better clientele, maybe.
Right.
That either they've got really good jobs, they're pickier on who they're going to rent to, where they may rent to people that doesn't have kids, trying to get that older kind of people, retired people. And you just got to, if you're going to be in rental property management, you need to pick and choose what kind of property you're going to deal with. If you're going to go like we used to, go out here and buy a $10,000 house, fix it up and rent it out for $250.
Yeah,
those days are over.
They are. Sometimes I've got my house, got a little place there with it. Have to keep bush hogged. I got my hunting farm Andy, and got to keep it bush hogged. And in hot summer, I'm trying to run a garage. I'm trying to do everything that I do in life, and I'm out there on a tractor. It's 10,000 degrees. I'm in the pits of hell. I'm thinking it would be nice to have a rental house where I ain't got to mow the yard. You know what I'm saying? You got a farm. You have to bush hog and all that.
All the time.
You ever think sometimes, the hell with all this? Right now, I'm going to sell my hunting farm, my house, and rent a place, where I ain't got to mow the yard.
But what would you do?
I've never thought that way, but my wife has many times.
She must do the yard mowing.
No, she wants me back at home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you think Randall gets hot in his tractor, like 65 degrees up there.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't get too hot in there.
I'm a poor boy. My old Kubota just got a bar above your head.
He's taking 25 feet at a time.
Oh, yeah.
I have to be quick. That keeps her happy.
There are building them things all over town, duplexes. I've seen them, and we need them. We got to have a place to live.
Right.
But I just wonder, I just worry about what's coming up behind us with these children and trying to get married. Everybody, not just me, but everybody's viewing out there, watching us. They want their kids to stay home. They want them to have a good job, and be able to buy a home in Paris and Henry County and work in Henry County, maybe rent them a house in Henry County, but I'm scared it might be going to run them off,
I don't know too many places they could go. Yeah. And do any better.
Well, and the thing is, number one, Mike, here in Henry County, this is a big issue for us. We cannot build subdivisions in Henry County. We have the sorriest soil. It doesn't perk. If you're not living in the city, you can't build anything. Now, people can go out here, rural area, and build a single house and get by with it. But even the subdivisions, look at them. Mm-hmm. They're fading off. Contractors fading off in Henry County. Yeah. And so what's going to happen is you're going to have to see Henry County do what Nashville's been doing. They're going to have to go in town, tear down old buildings, and build new buildings with zero lot lines. Yep. I see in the future of that happening. Because
I got a bunch of projects uptown that does that. All mine just start here, and there ain't no end,
We're going to have to do it if we're going to get the housing here, and more people is going to come in here, because we have a lot coming to Tennessee, and this is one of the reasons I think it's going to last longer. We got Ford just invested $5.something billion between here and Memphis. We got all the car dealers going to Nashville, Murfreesboro. Well, when they come in here, they're going to have to hire help from other states or around. You're not going to get it all Tennessee. Those people are going to have good jobs and they're going to buy houses. But what's going to help us is their
suppliers.
family members are going to have a place that they can live that can be an hour to 2 hours away because they can't afford to live in Nashville. They can't afford to live in
got you.
Memphis. So they're going to bring them here.
Be closer to their family.
That's what happened to the guy in California I was telling you about earlier. He come here with a job, buys his son a house out here in the county, bringing his family here.
right.
And that's what's going to happen to the future of Henry County. We're going to see more and more of that. So I think our bubble's going to hang in there a little bit longer just because of the growth in Tennessee.
good.
But we'll
And
see.
we're not that far from Haywood County.
No.
So maybe we'll get some of that.
So
Andy, what do you think about what they've been telling us? You think they know what they sound like they know what they're doing? They sound
Well,
like they know what they're talking about.
I think absolutely they do.
They do.
They work in it every day. They
right.
do it every day. And
Like my daddy always said, let's get it from the horse's mouth. That's why I brung them on.
that's why you brung them.
I don't know if they horses, they might be mules, but anyway, or asses or something.
we've been called worse.
But what do you think, man? I mean, it's been
I think it's been very educational. Everything that was said today are topics that's on people's minds, and they've gotten good advice.
They
They've
have.
gotten good direction.
and they answer some of my questions. I mean, my question was, why is housing so high? Supply and demand, dummy, which I knew that, but I thought there might be a magic bullet that I didn't know about. Why is rent so high? Supply and demand. The cost of real estate's higher, so if you buy a house to rent out and you have to pay 30% more than you normally do, you're going to have to go up on the rent 30%.
But for these two gentlemen, you wouldn't have known any of that before tonight.
No, sir.
Now
I
you know.
wouldn't. That's right. But it's just it's a bad situation to be in on one side of the sword.
Sure.
But on the other side of the sword, you can mop up, make some money, but
And there's been some good life advice given out tonight as well.
What kind of advice you got for children as an attorney? You've been a judge, you've
Stay-
been an
stay
attorney,
out
you've
of
been
trouble.
a police chief. No, you haven't been police chief.
Been chief deputy.
Chief deputy, excuse me. You've got to have some advice for children. Or life in general.
That's a different show, Mike. That I don't know if I can delve into that right now. I think you said a lot earlier about respect, and we don't know it all. None of us sitting here know it all.
No, sir.
But our parents taught us. We've got good friends. We've had people that we listen to,
Yes, sir.
and you got to take that to heart.
You're one of the guys.
Because
that
I'm
I
not.
rely on.
My parents got a lot smarter the older I got. And if I'd listened when I was young, I maybe would have been a lot smarter sooner.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be who you are.
True.
My dad allowed me to make mistakes. He kept them at misdemeanors in legal terms.
And that's a good thing.
But it made us who we are.
Absolutely.
We all are from our raising. We all had good parents. I know Randall's dad. I didn't know your parents, but I can tell you I know his dad. And my dad's been gone since 1990, but the older generation knew my father.
Well-
if you wanted to get elected, Nicky Bomer can tell you, if you wanted to be elected, you went to the west side, you had to talk to my dad, get his blessing. He'd bow at you, sort of like the mafia. He'd bow, and you'd get that vote.
And coincidentally, 37 years ago today is when I left Parris Island, South Carolina. And I learned a lot from those guys in the Marine Corps
Exactly.
in that short period of time. But that was 37 years ago. And I think about it every day to some degree. Those lessons you learn
Yeah.
and what you bring to the table is going to carry you forward.
Yeah, we all got to learn as we go. A lot of times I'm guilty of it. We all are. We raise our children, tell them they're kings and queens. We treat them like, my dad, he told me I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I was born with a shovel in my hind end. I better jerk it out and learn how to use it if I'm going to make a living. But we're all guilty of, it's been like that for generations. We want our children to be better than we was. But have we done the right thing by doing that? That's the question we'll all have to find out,
That's
We've
right.
given them everything they wanted, and sometimes they want more. And I'm just as guilty. Well, folks, I appreciate you being here, man.
Glad to be here. Thank you, Mike.
Hey, guys, you know it's been an hour. It's been over an hour, they're telling me.
Well,
We on borrowed time. Did y'all enjoy yourself?
Oh, yeah, had a good time.
Did you?
had a good time.
Did
A lot
you?
easier
Good
than I
time.
And what about my co-host, man?
He's great.
He's great.
When you bring somebody with his caliber in here sitting beside him, it got to be good. You know, y'all make me look smart. You know, I'm just an old mechanic. What do we know? We're grease monkeys. You know, we're not really intelligent. But I appreciate y'all guys coming in.
Well,
Thanks for having
I'm
us.
glad you asked us
Yeah.
and
And,
let us come. And,
Yeah, and y'all really did a good job.
Well,
You told us some things that we didn't know about, and you made us feel like we're still going to keep trucking along. It's not going to be the end of the world. Things are going to stay good for a few more years, and when they do go bad, they're not going to be all that bad because people are more scotch now than they used to be.
I think people have learned.
That's right. People have learned, and that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Maybe we come back again and do this.
Hey,
Maybe
anytime.
something happens.
Anytime.
Anything happens, come on back. Anything new in the market, hey, I want to hear about it. But, you know, maybe somebody will help these children with his rent. It's all I got to worry about. I see it every day in my line of work. People barely getting by, and I feel for them.
Well, they just don't go home at 4 o'clock. Go to the
Maybe
second
you're
job.
right.
Go to the second job at 4 o'clock.
Maybe
Yeah.
you're right.
I'm telling you, I watch a lot of people pass my office window at between
If
9
I got-
and midnight. And
If I
can't
got to
believe
tell
they
them
do.
anything, Mike, it is don't depend on the government
You're
to
right.
pay your bills.
That's right.
If you're doing that, you lose it.
But I have, for 30 years, I worked a lot of hours. I missed my children growing up. I missed their birthday parties. I missed their ball games. Probably cost me a marriage. Work, do 2 jobs, but also spend time with your family.
Without a doubt.
I was guilty of sometimes of not doing that, and if I could go back, it'd be completely different. Guys, I appreciate they're telling me to go. Andy, I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
Will you
Thank
come
you,
back
Mike.
again and help me?
If you ask me, I will.
I will always ask you, but the door's always open. Any of y'all, door's always open. Yeah, I'm not, just anytime. You want to come in, come in. I'll let y'all be a co-host one time.
All right, sounds
Come
good.
on in here. That's all I got to do. All right, folks. It's about time to end this thing. They're telling me in my ears. They're saying, Mike, we got to go. We got to go. I guess we're on borrowed time. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I want to thank my guest, and I want to thank my co-host. I want to thank all the guys behind the scenes that helped me. I couldn't do this without them guys. You know, they are supermen. You know, I got the easy job. You know, just sitting up here talking. Tune in next week. My guest is 2 constitutional lawyers. Let's see if all the things we've been hearing about the constitutional is legal. You know, what they're doing to us and what's going on. We're going to find out about it. You know, you always hear it on the TV. Is this constitutionally legal? Is that constitutional legal? We're going to find out what he says. And, you know, it's going to be an opinion. And I want to take a minute to remind y'all people, next Saturday is Christmas Day. I want to remind you to take a minute before you open your presents with your children. You know, remind them what this season's about. It ain't about presents. You got to remember the season. Tell them it's about Jesus. You know, we all need to let them know what this season's really about. You know, it's about Jesus Christ. Just don't forget that. Let's always remember to tell them children, right before they open it, I do, tell my children what it's about. And I want to wish all my crew a Merry Christmas. Kevin, Terry, Josh, Jason, Dana, Dakota, Chad, Ethan, a very Merry Christmas. I appreciate all of y'all. Special Merry Christmas to some good supporters of mine, Blake Stewart and my old buddy up there in the East Tennessee mountains, Jill and Russ. Y'all have a Merry Christmas. Don't go nowhere. We'll be back next week. Same time, same channel. See y'all. Come see me.